from Messi. Oh, what a goal that is!
Hi, I'm Abbas Saad, former Johor and Singapore footballer. You are now listening to the Bola Bola Show.
Hello, and welcome to the Bola Bola Show. So it's me, Alvin here, and how's it going, my fellow buddies, Steven and Bala? Bala?
Hello, Elvin. What intro, man? Things is okay, good, but situation getting better, hopefully. Steven, I hope your side is better.
Well, my side is not too bad as well. Of course, we are still fighting this whole COVID-19. So, everybody out there, stay safe, take care of yourself, and
Yes.
of course, what better thing to do is not listen to the Bola Bola Show podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So listen to us, guys, and we hope to keep you guys entertained. We hope that you guys have been checking out all our other episodes and also listening up to us. Thank you for all our subscriptions and our fans that are following us on all our social media platforms. So, guys, today let's bring back the good old days of the Malaysian League in the 90s. The semi-pro, and then slowly went into the post semi-pro and all that. So, what are your memories of those time, guys?
I think it's been like a distant memory years ago, but
Yeah,
the fans. I think Malaysian football is all about fans and the stadiums and the quality of the footballs, and I think those were the days, man.
You guys remember the so-called mother of all finals that came in 1991, guys.
Oh, who can forget that final?
Yeah, actually, before we get into the final, I'm not sure if you guys remember, during every time we really look forward. I mean, for me in particular, I look forward to the Malaysia Cup final, the newspaper that comes out that day, because it's like a real bumper edition, with the preview, the players' photos. It's really a collector's item, you see, that newspaper back in the day. I don't know if you guys recall that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know for a fact that Malaysia Cup is always on a Saturday night.
Yes.
If I'm mistaken. So the Saturday edition newspaper is the most important newspaper of the year.
Yeah, you can't you can't wait, for that paper man to throw that paper out of his motorbike. I mean, for me, my house was like that.
Yeah. And I personally will be waiting for my dad to come back from the morning market where he'll go and do marketing together with my mom.
Yeah.
Come back home with the newspaper, in the motorcycle buckle will be stacked inside there. I'll be the first guy. I'll be rushing out not to collect the things, as what a responsible son's supposed to do, right? You're supposed to come and carry stuff and go inside the house. No, I'll take the paper and run inside.
But what is more interesting is even at that age, I think probably we were around 11 years old. We are still talking about Nation League.
Yeah.
Talking about some kind of a European league and get excited about
actually, that's a very good point, Abara.
Yeah.
Kids these days, 11 years old, are they even talking about the Malaysian League?
No, like my son, he talks about Messi, Ronaldo, even Neymar, even recently because he get hooked with Batistu stuff. And I don't even once he talked to me about Malaysian football. But then, like 11 years old, I can't even remember any European players or even South America for the time.
I remember the European games and all that because watching World Cup and all that. But for some reason, you still come back to the Malaysian football and especially the Malaysian Cup. It invokes a lot of sweet memories. And for me, 91 particularly, it was an interesting time because I just moved into Shah Alam. And, everybody around me, merah kuning, and all that, I just couldn't stand it. I just couldn't take it. I was hoping that Pahang, remember, that's a dream team, Pahang. They had, I think, Dola. They had
Dola, Zainal.
Yes.
Who's the ponytail fella, the goalkeeper?
Oh, Khairul Asman. But Khairul Asman.
Sabah, right?
Yeah, I think that time, But Pahang was very strong.
But Selangor swiped them out of the semi-final. I think the first leg was 4-0 and they lost in Kuantan 2-0. So Selangor going to the Malaysia Cup final in such a spectacular form, 6-0 on aggregate. Everybody felt that Selangor was going to win this cup.
Yep.
And of course, some guy named Erwin Boban turned up in the final and decided to spoil the party.
Oh boy, he really turned up, man. Oh, he really showed up in that final. Yeah. In fact, if you guys have a chance to go and watch the highlight of that final, you will find things you'd rarely see in football these days, because you will really find a very waterlogged pitch. I'm not sure about the drainage system in Stadium Merdeka at the time, but it was really waterlogged. And in fact, if you can see Alistair Edwards' assist to Boban, if I'm not mistaken, the first goal, he did some fantastic outside of the boot cross. My goodness, in that rain.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, our guest of today was
Yes.
none other than the one player that actually turned out he missed that final. He missed that final because he helped. I don't know what exactly happened, but this is something that we could really find out later in our podcast.
Yes.
But of course, a couple of years later, he was the hero for his team, Singapore. Again, another spectacular final, scoring a hat-trick against Pahang. And it's none other than Abbas Saad. So guys, I
Yes.
mean, of course, Elwin, for you, I think probably even Abbas might bring back some not so good memories of what happened in '94, right?
Yeah, of course. Abbas, I mean, I'm very happy that Abbas actually was one of the legendary strikers in the Malaysian game. And, I just could only wish he played, he wore the red and yellow of Selangor. I could only wish for that, because he was definitely one of those deadly partnership there. And, to see him score a hat-trick in the Shah Alam Stadium. Oh, man. Yeah. So that as a Selangor fan, you really feel gutted, especially when you see, because Selangor, that Singapore rivalry with Selangor is also another thing, man. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, at that time, it was a big deal to
Yeah.
whenever Selangor and Singapore play in the Malaysian League. And what else? I mean, of course, maybe you can ask him that question. I mean, who knows? Maybe something might have turned up between Selangor and Abbas, but which didn't materialize.
Yeah, exactly.
But for me personally, I would always say that growing up, that was my first chapter lesson of Malaysian football, because I didn't get to watch the Mokhtar Dahari era and all that, because I was too young at the time. So the early '90s was my beginning, and by far I think the best player I ever seen was Abbas. Period. This is not up for debate for me.
So definitely today, your idol is on the show, man.
Hey,
Yep.
I'm having goosebumps everywhere, man. Just to be able to
Yeah.
talk to him on this podcast.
Yeah. So, without further ado, let's get Abbas on board, right, guys? So, for all our listeners out here, do enjoy our interview with Abbas.
Tumpuan sekarang ini hanyalah kepada meja Haji Kamarudin untuk menyiapkan whistle bagi menamatkan permainan ini, dan sudah pasti Johor akan muncul sebagai juara bagi Piala Malaysia tahun 1991. Perlawanan yang berlangsung di Stadium Merdeka di Kuala Lumpur dalam keadaan hujan yang lebat, padang yang lembat dan becek. Anwar dan tangkapan kemas daripada Carlos Fromsik. Dan itu dia, permainan sudah pun ditamatkan, dan pemain-pemain Johor sekarang ini terus merayakan kejayaan mereka, muncul sebagai juara Piala Malaysia bagi tahun 1991, menewaskan pasukan Selangor Darul Ihsan dengan 3-1. Dan saksikanlah kegembiraan di wajah Urukalo, yaitu juru latih daripada Australia ini. Ini merupakan kejayaan pribadi yang amat tinggi, dan lihat 1991.
Hello, Abbas, and welcome to our show. We are so honored to have you join us today. So, how has things been for you lately?
Good evening. Thank you for having me first. And yeah, look, things are okay, as good as it can be in this kind of world that we live in at the moment.
Yeah, it's crazy times indeed. So Abbas, what sort of projects are you currently involved in?
Well, I've been coaching, but I've taken a little bit of a sabbatical. I took a year off from coaching. My mum was ill for about a year, and she just passed on actually in the last 40 days.
So sorry.
It's been a challenging year, not just with the pandemic, but also obviously on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've been away for the last 30 odd years, from home. So I thought the best thing I could do is spend as much time as possible and look after her as much as I can. that's what I've done for the last 12 months. And yeah, look, it's been just over a month since she's left us, but hopefully I'm rejuvenated a little bit. I'm starting to fall in love back with the game again,
Okay.
and get back into my coaching. You know, I had a pretty successful stint the last couple of years, and I like to get back into it.
Okay, great to know that. Okay, and Abbas, okay, so we would like to speak about your early days, you know, so who was actually your key influence in your life, you know, when it came to playing football?
Oh, look, my family, I think my brothers were probably ones who pretty much pushed me along. I think early on, they probably saw more talent in me than I did, maybe
Okay.
at a young age, and just fell in love of the game, just watching it on TV, and you know, and obviously just taking a punt on it, and just giving it a good shot. And I always said to myself when I was a kid, you know, look, I'll never forgive myself if I never gave it all and tried to be a professional footballer. And that's all I wanted to do, to just be a professional footballer, and you know, and have a life in football. And luckily enough, I had the talent early on in my career, and yeah, look, and prospered back here in Australia. Obviously, migrating from Lebanon at a young age, at 8 years old, and to come to a new country, learn the language, obviously, and just, you know, and get used to the lifestyle that Australia was. It was a big difference between the Middle East and obviously a Western country. But it took me a while to settle in. I think it took our whole family to settle in a little while, but the talent was already there from my younger years back home in Lebanon, and I carried it on in my early days when I got back to Australia.
Okay. As a kid,
Okay.
which football team actually you support?
Look,
Any European team or Asian team, anything like that?
Well, look, Maradona was my hero growing up. I love Diego Maradona. I think Maradona was one. Marco van Basten was another footballer that you thought, you know, that made you fall in love with football and where they played the game. So Italian football at Serie A was huge on television in Australia. That, I think, it was the number one league in the world at the time. If you remember, the best footballers in the world, the Maradonas, the Platinis, the Van Bastens and Mateos, and, you know, everybody played in Italy first. You know, it wasn't Spain or England or anyone else. So Serie A was huge, and I loved that Napoli team with Maradona, and of course I fell in love with the Milan team with Van Basten, just the way they played their football, and yeah, they were a big influence on my career and the path that I wanted to take.
Okay. And of course, let's talk about your career in Malaysia, in the Malaysian League, by the way. So, of course, you moved to Singapore in 1990. I just wonder, how did that move materialize? And what made you leave after one season? Because you pretty much had a very relatively successful debut season, by the way.
Yeah, we did. I did have a successful season. I think we just finished second on goal difference to Selangor that year, and we made it all the way to the Malaysia Cup, which we lost to Kedah in the final. And, you know, and I think I was my team's top scorer at the time, so I was pretty close up there in the top three Golden Boot winners at that time. But look, it happened. I was having a successful stint here in Sydney. I was playing for Sydney Olympic, which was the biggest team and most successful team at the time in that late 80s team in 88, 89 and 90. And Alan Vest, if you know the Sarawak coach, who was he was probably the first Australian to be, you know, coaching up in Asia. And he was at Sarawak, and he was sort of going through, he knew some people at the Football Association in Singapore. And I think Singapore were having a bit of a rough time, a tough time. I think 89 they didn't do well, and 90 they wanted new foreigners, and I think he recommended they come down to Sydney and watch me play. He picked me as a 17-year-old in the state team here for New South Wales. And he obviously liked the way I played the game, and he recommended them that they come down and watch me play. Obviously, I was having a pretty successful year at Olympic. We were pretty high up on the table, and we were in the final series. And that's when, representatives from Singapore team came down to Sydney, watched me play that night. I think I might have scored a couple of goals on that night, and we won. And that was it. It took them only one time to look at. Obviously, strong recommendation from Alan, who's a great guy, who's a great coach, and and a great mentor to me. And I agreed. I had agreed. They said they're looking for 2 foreigners, and Alistair Edwards was my striking partner at the time at Olympic when I was playing. So when they said they were looking for 2, I said, well, I told them, I said, well, I think it'll be best if you take the both of us. I mean, 2 players who play together, understand each other, and I think it'll be much better for the team. And that's how it happened. And it was just supposed to be just for the summer, because and they had to wait because we were in the finals. So we went all the way to the grand final. We won the grand final here in Sydney. So, and then I jumped on a plane. I played on a Sunday afternoon. I jumped on a plane on a Monday morning, straight to Singapore to join the Singapore team. I think it was like round 3 or 4 at the time, and they hadn't started so well. I think they'd drawn 1 game and lost 2 in the first 3 games, and that's when we joined.
And what made you leave for Johor? I mean, just after 1 season.
The management, the coach.
Okay.
It was difficult. It was hard. I mean, look, it was my first taste of Southeast Asian football, if you want to say. I loved it. I loved every minute. The fans were great. The atmosphere was unbelievable. It was a big eye-opener for me. I'm playing in front of 15, 20,000 here, and all of a sudden I'm playing packed houses of 80, 85,000 in Singapore, like 90,000 in Shah Alam. Pretty much Shah Alam it was at the time, and everywhere, across Malaysia, you go to Kedah, was full house everywhere. It's because I didn't realise that every Malaysian state wanted to beat Singapore, and that was a rivalry then, So we got full house wherever we went. But no, just had a lot of problems with the coaching staff, and and it was it. It was either me or them, and they retained the staff. And I said to myself, there's no way I was going to stay. I had a great offer to go to Kedah straight after the final. I had offers pretty much from Selangor, from everybody really, because as you said, I had a pretty successful season that year. And so I decided, you know what, I loved Singapore so much in a way. I didn't want to be too far from it maybe. But Johor came in, and they agreed to have an Australian coach who we worked with, Michael Riccardo at the time. So I'd worked with him here in Australia, and they had a good team. We had beaten them in the semi-finals. So they'd made the semi-finals to the Malaysia Cup then, and they had a good 89 season also. So it was a pretty decent squad that we're joining, and we're joining Irvin Boban, who was a fantastic foreigner, one of the best foreigners I played with. So I knew we were going to be very, very strong with a new management, and that's why I decided to leave, which maybe broke a lot of hearts and made a lot of people angry in Singapore, but really it wasn't my call. Really, I was pretty much pushed out, and I was just happy to go to Johor, and 2 fabulous years at Johor. We won the double my first year there. I won the Golden Boot my first year there. So it was great times in Johor, and then obviously headed back to Singapore in '93.
Okay. I think we still talk about Johor. With Johor, you had an amazing chapter in your career. You helped them lift the double of the Malaysia League and the Cup title. How exciting times were that time compared to what you had in Singapore?
Awesome, unbelievable. It was a better team. It was twice a better team than I probably played in Singapore in the '90. Super team. we were very exciting to watch. I don't know if you remember, we averaged almost 4 or 5 goals a game. We were just an attacking machine, you know. You had Irving Boban, Alice Edwards, Salihan Matsom, Anwar Abu Bakar, myself. We played with like 6 strikers. We only had like 3 players who could defend, and 7 of us, you know, attacking fullbacks on either side. It was just gung-ho football from us. We knew we could score a lot of goals. We knew we'd concede goals. Maybe defensively we weren't that great, you know. We had a young keeper, also a new keeper in Omar Salim and Hassan Miskim. So, you know, they weren't really at the high level of other goalkeepers, but they had fabulous season to help us go through it. But it was really our midfield, Khalid Shadan, Nasser Youssef was unbelievable, and those two can play. They're very, very good players technically alongside me. So that was 3 of us in the midfield, and we let the other guys just attack. And yeah, look, if we'd score 4 goals, we knew we'd win. 3 goals, we'd win. You know, we'd finish with 5-2, 4-2, you know, 3-2. But we knew we could beat anybody on our day, and we did that. We really had a super team, and I wasn't surprised we won the double then. And I think we were probably clearly the best team in the competition in 1991.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, one can never forget that epic semi-final against KL, which I think went all the way to the last minute. Of course, unfortunately, you had to miss the final, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I was very stupid. I never regret. That's probably if there's a regret in life in my career. That was probably a moment because I really wanted to play in the final. I had scored 2 goals at that semi-finals in Johor. I got the team home. We won 3-1, I think, at home at Larkham, and I got sent off like in the 85th minute, 5 minutes at the end. I just reacted to. I think it was just a swinging arm, and the referee maybe on a night was pretty poor, actually, to be honest with you. But you know, no excuses. It was just crazy what I did to yes, help the team get to the final, but you know, to miss out on the final, and I probably wouldn't have forgiven myself if we had lost that final. So thank God Irvin Boban scored a hat-trick and got me off the hook on the night.
So,
And of
so
course,
Abbas, yeah.
Go ahead, Elvin. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, so you sure it was just Boban or it was the rain? It was totally,
yeah.
you know, you see, if you watch it, man, you know, you see the ball just got stuck like so many times.
Honestly, I looked at it last night. Actually, I was looking at the vision last night again. It was crazy. I mean, I'm sitting. I had a broken arm too. You know, it was in a cast, my arm, because I had broken in the quarterfinals, and that was probably one of the reasons actually I got sent off, because they knew that, and I couldn't play, as you know, with a plaster. I just had to strap it, and they kept hitting me. They kept hitting me on my arm, and I pretty much lost it at the end, and that's how I reacted and got sent off. But no excuses. But yeah, look, the rain didn't make it a great spectacle, but I think we just played better in the rain against Selangor, who were very good, and I really thought it's going to be a very, very close game, but it ended up being pretty much a one-way traffic. Yeah,
it was, you know, before that game, it was dubbed the mother of all finals.
You're right. Because of that, the atmosphere, the rivalry, everybody was hoping for a great night, and unfortunately, you know, the Lord above was not happy with the Selangor people, and gave us the advantage on the night. But you know, even though you still got to play and win, and I thought our boys were magnificent, and especially Boban. You know, he was the first player ever, I think. I'm not sure if there's anyone before him that scored a hat-trick. I mean, I know I scored it 2 years after with Singapore, but he was the first foreign player to ever score a hat-trick in a final, which is a great feat. But he was a wonderful footballer. A big fan of Boban as a footballer.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you know, that time Johor team was, you know, at its zenith peak, and looking at what JDT is today, I mean,
Yep.
what's your view? I mean, seeing what JDT has accomplished these days compared to your days.
Yeah, look, unbelievable what they've accomplished. Look, they've accomplished with probably the best players, 20 players in Malaysia. You know, they've assembled a super squad. Let's not forget, and the foreigners too. You know, very good foreigners who they pay them a lot of money. I wish I wish I was playing football now. You know, I mean, maybe I'd be. You know, I probably deserve that kind of money that they're getting, and probably maybe more because with our feet, what we did for the team. But we had a young team, an unknown team. Let's not forget there wasn't many international players in my Johor team apart from Nasir Yusuf. I think Nasir was probably the only prominent national team player that year, and then I think not sure if Khalid got picked. Also, maybe played a couple of games, and then Anwar maybe a couple of years later when he went to Selangor, I think he got into the national team.
Yep.
So you know, we didn't have any international players. The only international player who was on the field was myself. I was the only one who had played for probably for Australia for internationally. Even Boban didn't play for Croatia, or Alistair hadn't played for international for Australia at the time, I think. So yeah, to do it with that squad of players was an unbelievable feat. And I honestly still believe my team, my Johor 1990 team, would beat any JDT team that won this, won the league at this time.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and Abbas, you did mention his name earlier, so let's talk about Michael Urukalo. So as a kid growing up in the 90s, we come across many coaches, and Urukalo is definitely one of him. Like you mentioned, Alan West and Ken Warden. A few more after that. So, what was it like, playing under Michael, and what sort of personality he had as a coach?
Oh, look, he was larger than life. He was one of a kind. He's extravagant. He loved the limelight. He was a very, very confident man. Lovely guy, a good friend of mine. I always, speak to him. I just spoke to him last week. He just let us play. He believed in us. He was big on fitness. He believes that a fit team will always have an edge, an advantage, especially towards the end of the year. And he proved it right. He got us very, very fit. Like I said, he was very, very simple with his tactics, and he let us play. He let me loose. He didn't handcuff me or handcuff any other player. He wanted us to play football. As I said to you, we wanted to attack every team, home or away, and back ourselves, and that proved to be the right tactics, and he was a mastermind at that, to be honest with you. And he just put belief in all the local players and gave him belief that they can do anything, and they were better than a lot of people thought they were. And credit, it's the way we gelled. I think the foreign players, we all got on really well with the local players. And in any team sport, team harmony is so important. If you don't have team harmony, you will not have any success. It doesn't matter how good players you got. You got to play as a team. That's why it's called a team sport. And we all respected each other. We all worked for each other and believed in each other. And that's why we were so successful.
And during those days, playing under Urukalo, what differences do you see compared to the football teams these days? Like you see a very, very high press. They engage a lot of high press and, completely turning down the opponents from making a pass. So was it similar back in the early 90s?
Look, we played a high intensity. Yeah, we like to press very, very high. That was a team that Johor team. That's the way we played. We pressed very, very high, front three, right on top of their back four, midfield up high, and our defense, play a high line, which is because we backed ourselves. We wanted to win the ball inside the opposition half. And when you do that, the advantage is with you to punish them because you're closer to their goal than our goal, correct? So that's the way, that's the belief that we've done. It's a belief that I love playing football, even my coaching now. That's the way I coach. I believe in that. The other thing is having the ball. And when you got the ball more than the opposition, you got more chance of scoring and winning the game. And that was important too, you know. We played football at the right way, I thought. And it's important that you do it both ways. We attacked as a team and we defended well as a team also.
Okay. And okay guys, so that brings us to the end of the first section, and we'll be back after this.
He has got it! That is Abbas Saad at his enterprising best. He's so proud of these famous
Okay, welcome back. So, you know, Abbas, after your time with Johor, you know, you returned to play for Singapore instead of going elsewhere. You know, was there any particular reason to this?
The job wasn't done, was it? You know, obviously, you know, finishing second in the league and in the final probably wasn't good enough for me. You know, every team that I played for, I'd won something with, even here in Australia. So I've been successful in that sense. And the other thing was Fundi Ahmad and Malik Awab were two of my best friends, and them returning from KL to Singapore made it an easy transition and probably a decision that I had to make. I still had to be talked into it because I was still very filthy and angry the way things happened in 1990, as we spoke earlier about me leaving. But, you know, I could have gone to, again, I had a great offers from Selangor and Negri and Kedah again, and Fundi pretty much, Fundi and Malik sort of tipped my decision to go back and give it another go, and especially with new management and a new coach. And it was PN Sivaji who was going to be the coach, and I knew Sivaji from my Singapore days, and he's an absolute gem, you know, he's a gentleman, you know, and you know, when I was speaking to him, I thought, you know what happened in 1990 was it's, you know, it was dead and buried, and let's just start a new lease of life. And that's what I wanted. I really wanted to go back and prove myself again. Maybe not, you know, I'd proved myself in the 3 years that I played, but I wanted to show that I can win something, and especially with my best friends, my teammates, Malik and Fundi. I wanted to win something with them, and also I wanted to play with them and not against them, which I did for 3 years.
But besides Singapore, did you receive any other offer to play for in the clubs in Malaysia, I mean, perhaps Selangor or even?
Yeah, I did straight. I did. I had the same offers. I had a huge offer again, also from Negri. I had an offer to go with, obviously, to Selangor and Kedah. I mean, Datuk Basri, the late Datuk Basri, who's a wonderful man, and he came in again. But you know, I explained to him at the time that, you know, I'm going back to Singapore because of, you know, Fundi and Malik, and we wanted to play together. And before they finished their careers, and, you know, if I wanted to head back home or go overseas, I wanted to have one more chance of trying to win something for Singapore team.
And of course, you mentioned about Fundi and Malik, and so I mean, they together with you were known as the dream team, you know, the 94. And then, of course, in 1994, you achieved so much with that Singapore team. I mean, can you elaborate more about what was this team like?
The dream team. Maybe during the year we were more like the dream team, but when it came to the final against Kedah, we were more like dreamers, actually. Yeah, look, again, I think 93, we had a great. It was a great team. It was a pretty strong team. You know, Malik, Fundy, Sundram, Alistair Edwards, myself, Jan Jung, the Korean international. You know, you pretty much the Singapore national team plus us foreigners. You know, it was a pretty strong team. Probably the strongest team that I played with, and still, unfortunately, we fell. Short against Kedah in the final, who outwitted us pretty much, outmuscled us, just didn't let us play, and they deserved to beat us. They deserved to beat us on a night. They weren't a better team than us. I didn't think they were, because during the year we've done really well against them and we've beaten them, but finals are different. You've just got to turn up, and it was really heartbreaking for me because that was the second time. For me, 1990 to Kedah, and then 93 against the Kedah. It was like a hoodoo team. No wonder Datuk Basri wanted me to join them, So I don't feel bad playing against them in finals. But look, they were a great team too, Kedah. I mean, they were probably the best teams, one of the best teams in the 90s, because they won it a couple of times. They were always up there in the finals. So disappointing 93 with that so-called dream team. I don't know about the dream team, but we were a pretty strong team at the time. And 94, well, there was no more dream team because Alistair went to Selangor. Selangor tried to pull me back with him. And
you should have joined him, man. You
yeah,
should have joined him.
I know.
Yeah. I can just imagine. I could just imagine you wearing red and yellow. Oh man, what a partnership that would have been.
Yeah. Kenny tried hard, to be honest with you. Kenny, he tried hard to pull me there, and again, it was just him going there. Sundram went, I think, to Kelantan at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was the only foreigner sort of retained, and then. Like I said again, it was the influence of Fundy and Malik. We've been so close, and wanted to give it one more shot. And that was my. I said to Fundy, then I wanted to give this one last time. This is just going to be the last time before, and I really wanted to test myself. I had some decent offers to go overseas into Europe at the time, which I knocked back earlier, and I thought that would be probably the best time to test myself after 94.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of finals, and you playing in those finals, you finally broke your duck by scoring in the final, so you scored a hat-trick in that 4-0 win over Pahang in 1994. So, what was that feeling, finally getting to score in that final?
Yeah, look, it was unbelievable. More great feeling winning the final. I didn't really care if I scored or not score, but I just wanted to win. I didn't want to be a third-time loser with Singapore. You don't want that tag to have played for a team, and you've taken them to the final 3 times and you've lost 3 times. And
I think Messi has a trick as that.
Yeah. But it was a wonderful final. I could never forget the atmosphere at. I think it was at Shah Alam. It was only the second game. We had played Selangor in the semi-finals, the first game ever at Shah Alam. That was the opening of Shah Alam. We had 90 or 95,000 people in that semi-final against Selangor, which we drew 2-2, I think, at the time, and we won 3-2 in aggregate because we beat them 1-0 at home. And that was an unbelievable atmosphere. That I will never forget, but I didn't think the final would be even better against Pahang because of so many Singaporeans who flew from Singapore, came down to KL to watch that final. It was more like 60 to 70,000 people came into Malaysia, to Kuala Lumpur to watch that final. It was unbelievable. And yeah, look, we played well. We deserved to win that game. Pahang was strong. I know they were missing I think Alan Davidson suspended for them, but we had Jan Jung suspended for us too. So they sort of cancelled each other out, and then it was really up to the big boys, either me or Fundy. I knew Fundy's my roommate, and we were talking before the game, and I pretty much said to him, I said, look, if neither of us score today, or if we don't play well, we got no chance. You know, they were a good team. They were a very, very good team, and I think we knew that we needed to score goals, and we ended up scoring all 4 goals, both of us. So yeah, look, unbelievable as an individual rewards for me, but more unbelievable the team, the way the team played and performed on the night.
And who would you consider your toughest opponent, or which player gave you the hardest time on the field during your time playing in the Malaysian League?
Oh, there's some good players. And Kedar had a couple of good. I can't remember. Well, I remember the big. What is his name? Polygon.
Odigon.
Yeah, that's it.
The Kedah guy.
Yeah, he was tough, and also the other centre back, the Chinese centre back. I can't remember Lee. I can't remember what was his name. The centre back alongside there, Kedar. Look, he was very good. He was a national team player also. I can't remember his name, but he was just very good athlete. For a big fella, he was quick, and you know, I was quick and nippy, and technically, you know, pretty good. But he was solid. He was solid. And you look at Slangor, you know, Gunnar was a very, very good player, and he was a tower of strength. Gunalan at the back, he was very, very solid. You had some good players. There's some really good foreign players in the 90s, and you know, there was some really good defenders. Alan Davidson was tough, and Ahmad Yusuf was tough when we played Pahang. They were very good players, you know, and international players. So, you know, let's not forget, in the 90s, all the foreigners were internationals. We had to be internationals too, you know, play at a high level to come into play in the Malaysian League. Not unlike now, you don't really have to be an international. And so there was a lot of good players. Zoran, you know, you had Zoran Nikolic, you know, like I said, Kedah had some really good players. Singapore, you know, Perak. There was some wonderful foreign players coming to the Malaysian League at the time. So it wasn't easy to play a lot of teams because the competition was very tough.
Okay. Speaking about the teams, what are your most profound good memories with your striking partners, Alistair Edward and Fandi Ahmad? I remember that you gave a goal to Alistair Edward so they can win the M League Top Scorer Award. I can't remember which year was it, but
yeah. We did that in Singapore. Yeah, I think I just finished a goal behind him at the time, and then 94. You know, I'd scored almost 30 goals. You know, we scored like almost 60, 65 goals between myself and Fandi that year. You know, and that was pretty prolific. But yeah, look, in Johor, when you average like 15 to 20 goals a season, that's a pretty good return. And at the time, it's a pretty good return because, as I said, there's some really good defenders, some really good teams, and the defenders were pretty solid, you know, and mostly were really big foreign players, international players, and they were pretty good. So it wasn't that easy to score during that time. But we managed to have a really good season in that 94 season, myself and Fandi, as I said to you. We knew we had to perform at our highest level, and we had a really good understanding. And for me, you know, he's just the best player that I've ever played with, to be honest with you. Understanding each other on the field, but also just the way he went about playing his game, and technically he was just phenomenal, Fandi. What a player. Probably the two best players I played with was Boban and Fandi Ahmad during my time with the teams that I played with at the time.
So, I mean, Abbas, of course, we know about your love for Singapore, and it's pretty obvious. So, was there any rumors that you wanted to switch nationality so that you could represent the Lions at international level? I mean, was there any truth to this?
Yes, it was. A request came to me that, you know, and obviously wanted me to do that if I could, but you know, it was no way I was gonna give up my Australian citizenship or my home birth citizenship, which was Lebanon, and to do that. and it was very difficult. I was just happy to play as a foreigner with the team and with the players, and just continue doing that. But yeah, it would have been very, very difficult for me. I'd already represented Australia playing football, and even the Lebanese national team wanted me to play for them, but I couldn't do that either because I already represented Australia at youth level.
Okay. So with that said, we will end this segment of the podcast. Of course, coming up next is perhaps the hottest topic of the day that we wanted to talk to Abbas. And so we'll be right back after this.
The defense has been split open. Can Abbas go on to score his hat-trick?
Oh, yes! Oh, yes!
I can't
What a
believe it.
brilliant move!
The last time someone scored a hat-trick in the Malaysia Cup final was in 1991 when Urban Boban scored a hat-trick for Johor. Abbas Saad missed that final because of a suspension, and this time he is just soaking in and enjoying himself all the way. And the last time he scored a hat-trick for Singapore was in the Premier League, taken an unbeatable 4-0 lead against the Pahang players after 22 minutes of the second half. This is turning out to be a walloping.
And welcome back again. So you know, as what we mentioned earlier, so
Yep.
let's get into this. I would say hot, controversial topic, but you know, let's get it. Let's hear it from Abbas now. So, Abbas, you know, what was your position on this 1994 bribery scandal? You know, was it just a case of complete misunderstanding, or was it, you know, of somebody tried to frame you here? Yeah.
Yeah, look, pretty much you probably summed it up. A misunderstanding. Was there more to it? I don't know. But look, definitely, it wasn't a sweet moment in my career at the time.
Yeah.
It probably was a horrible moment for me because at the time I had a pretty good offers to go into Europe, to Spain and to France, and try my luck there again. And, you know, obviously I wanted to leave. I was leaving Singapore at the time. So everything just came up at the wrong time. I was shocked. It was, I don't know, probably, I don't know if there's another word than shocked at the time. It was, it wasn't a great moment for me. And obviously, pleading my innocence from the first day until today, and I knew that I didn't really have much to worry about because I knew I'd done absolutely nothing wrong. It was never ever, and I would never ever, you know, be involved in such a thing like that. I would never ever cheat, not myself, but I would never ever cheat my teammates or my team or the country or the team that I play for, because football is much bigger than just yourself, you know what I mean? And you can't be selfish when you play the game. As I spoke before, and you know, you hear me the way I talk about my teammates and my team and all that. They mean the world to me, and the fans, and they mean the world to me. And I would never, ever do such a thing to, you know, to do the dirty on fans or teams or players. So yeah, look, it was a horrible moment at the time. I had to ride through it and go through it and accept what judgment happened at the time. You know, there's not much I could do. I fought it with FIFA. It was overturned straight away. You know what I mean? Because of with my lawyers, I went back and played football. Obviously, the heartbreak was not going back into Asia to play and continue my career. I was 27, 28 years old. I was on top of my game, playing the best football of my life, probably the best age to play football, and you know, and the best wasn't seen probably from me. There's probably more still to come from me, and unfortunately, I couldn't show it back in the Malaysian League or in Singapore, and I had to accept. You know, I took that. I had to accept that. Not the fine, but obviously that I couldn't play back in Singapore for almost 8 years until until it was overturned by the Singapore FA.
Well, from what I understand, FIFA did actually lifted your lifetime ban. You were banned for life, but then FIFA lifted it in '96.
Straight away. Yeah, straight away, pretty much
But,
when I heard it.
I'm not too sure what reason was the FAS decision to took almost 14 years. But was it always your
Because of my
personal
conviction.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it was because when you, well, I mean, obviously they had given me a conviction, but a fine, sorry. And that's Singapore law at the time, and I fought it, as you said, I fought it for 8 years. I never stopped fighting it while I was still playing, and you know, I got my just rewards overturning it. I think when I was coaching, when I had retired, but I never fought, you know, stopped fighting it for a second. And unfortunately, FIFA couldn't do much about it, or even AFC couldn't do much about it. It was something in Singapore. It was just the law which I had to accept, and I did accept. But I'm very grateful for them to, you know, come back and overturn my life ban there. I know it was too late to play, but it's still, I mean, for me, it was a personal victory on my part.
And finally, you know, like what was that feeling in the end after that decision was overturned in 2009?
Oh, just relief. It was just relief off my back. Look, people, fans, friends, colleagues, teammates, you know, they never doubted me for a second. You know, I don't know how you guys felt at the time, and when you heard the stories and all that, it just didn't make sense to me. And I know I'd never done anything wrong, and I think they knew that. And you know, I went on a big journey to do a documentary and to try and get more of the source of that I was supposedly involved with Michael Varner at the time. I'd flown to the Czech Republic. I hadn't seen him or spoken to him for more than 20 odd years, and I just wanted everybody to hear it from the horse's mouth, which was him and myself, and pretty much. And that, you know, and if you had, you know, heard from what he said in the documentary and what I've been saying, then you know that, you know, I've been very, very straightforward and honest from day one. And, you know, I never had a bad night of sleep ever. So I've always, you know, slept well and woke up well, knowing that I'm totally innocent of whatever, and I've done absolutely nothing wrong. But it just peed me off, excuse my French, that it did tarnish my name a little bit because of, you know, everything that I've done on a football field, you know, because I was very, very successful when I played there, you know, in my time in Singapore and in Malaysia, and of course in the M League at the time. And I didn't want people to detour away from that, and wanted to know, you know, what Abbas Saad for his achievement on the field, and not for that stupid you know, court case that I had to go through.
I mean, I watched the documentary, and it was kind of very emotional for me as well, because we grew up at that era. We watched you guys on the field, both you and Michael Varner, and then suddenly you guys coming together. I mean, I could feel the emotional feeling at the time. I'm sure you felt the same as well.
Yeah, it was very emotional. Look, it was, and what he had to go through was unbelievable. You know, yeah, I think he's got a documentaries coming out, Michael, from the same people. I haven't seen his documentary, but just hearing his story and the way what he went through, and I know him as a player, and I can vouch for him. He never ever gotten involved in any of that. The worst thing he did was probably bet on the games, and he admit he was betting on games, on our teams to win at the games. So he was never ever betting against the team losing the game at the time. You know what I mean? But still, we all knew as footballers we weren't allowed to bet on games, and I never did that. I've never bet. The only time I've ever made a bet is probably on the Melbourne Cup on a horse, probably 2 or 3 times in my life, and that's the only time I've ever bet. I'm not a gambler. I've never done that. And everybody who knows me I'm very stern when it comes to, doing betting and all that. So they understood I had nothing to do with that. I think, I don't know what was said, what they heard, and it's still, again, and they knew I had nothing to do with that. My players were in the courtroom supporting me. My coach was supporting me. The management was supporting me. The fans were supporting me. And if anybody knows you're dirty, trust me, your players, the first ones, your players will know you're a dirty player, and the fans would know the way you play and you carry on. So, people are not stupid. People are not stupid. If you're going to do wrong on a football field, you can be seen from very, very far away. And everybody knew I'm very, very straightforward, very honest, humble, and, playful, maybe loud. I could be a little bit of a larrikin, but more than that, no way. I'd give 200%, and I gave 200% every match I've ever played, and probably more when I played for Singapore and Johor, and just the way it is. I'm a winner. I love to win. I hate being second best. You probably heard it just talking to me today. I left. I went back to Singapore because I didn't win something. I wanted to win it. And that's just the way it is. Finishing second for me is like finishing last. And it's just the way I've been brought up. I just, to achieve the achievable and try and get the big prize. And that's what it's all about. But to do something horrible and dirty on your team and your teammates, there's no way in the world that's anything that will be associated with me.
No.
All right, Abbas, and so what do you miss about your playing days in the Malaysian League?
Probably just the atmosphere, the fanfare, the competitive edge, that winning feeling. It's difficult, Once you're retired, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I mean, I spent almost 10 years on Malaysian and Singapore TV, being a pundit, watching games, commenting on games, analysing games. It's not the same, You're sitting in the studio and you're on edge, you know what I mean? You're playing the game with them, while you're sitting down. So it's just a phenomenal feeling. It's an unbelievable feeling playing in front of big crowds, and you're an entertainer and making people happy. It's just a smile on the faces of your fans when you're winning. It's priceless. It's priceless when a 5-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid comes up to you, give you a hug, and wants your autograph or wants a picture, or a 90-year-old grandmother, a mother, a father, elderly people. I mean, this is what's all about. You guys have been fans. You understand what I'm talking about. It is a big buzz for a player also when you put big smiles on your face. And at the end of the day, that's what we are, aren't we? We're in an arena. We're battling out, and we're trying to make the supporting team happy. And that's at the end of the day, that's probably the biggest impact on my career.
And you did mention, you got yourself into TV and punditry and all that. So, what were some of the challenges you faced, moving from the field to the screen? What was it like?
Yeah, look, obviously opinions, everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got a philosophy, everybody got different, ways of seeing the game. And that's what punditry is all about. It's about opinions, and the way I like playing the game, I like watching the game. I spoke about the way I like to do, play. Some other players or ex-players or now pundits, maybe they were more robotic. They were a little bit. They were more negative maybe in their approach. They played different sort of style. They enjoyed that game maybe better. And at the end of the day, it's how you comment on the game and how you see the game. So that was the difference. That you're sitting down with with your guests and other former players and great players. We're talking about. You're talking about World Cup players. You're talking about Premier League winners, you know, great players played for Liverpool, United, you know, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and the list goes on. But everybody has a different opinion, and that's the beauty about the game. And you know, I try to be very honest, you know, and fair in my in the way that I analyze the game, in the way uh, I, I spoke about the game when I was on TV. So, and that's all you got to do is just I mean, comment, you know, as you see it. You just, you know, speak as you see it, and say as you see it, as they say. And pretty much that's the way I did things. And hopefully, you know, people who watched me analyze it, they enjoyed my comments, and they like the way I you know, the way I see the game should be played.
Okay. And of course, you're also involved in coaching. And
Mm.
how do you see the challenges these days for coaches to deal with younger players? You know, especially now with the social media generation. I mean, is it a big challenge for nowadays?
Yeah, look, it's tough. I think the pressure on when you're talking about, you know, the professional players and the big league players around the world. You look at, say, the Premier League and see some of the younger players getting themselves in trouble on social media and all that. They're just veering off. They've just got too much time on their hands, I think. We never had that during our time because we didn't even have telephones even then, you know what I mean? So it's the only thing we knew what to do, go to training. We played the game, we talked about the game amongst ourselves. So it is difficult, but I think the pressure, but you look at it, I mean, the amount of money these young kids are making, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's phenomenal, and it's very easy to veer away, especially if you're not mature. And I think, you know, the immature players and the younger players, they're the ones who probably get themselves in trouble more. But uh, it is what it is in life. We all make mistakes and we learn from it. Hopefully you want to learn from those mistakes and you mature along and do better. And you look at the guys, just probably Jack Grealish. I'll give you an example of Jack Grealish. Just what, 6 months ago, he was in all sorts of problems with the COVID things and, you know, and then he sort of got his life together, you know, partying where you're supposed to be, you know, inside a house, whatever. But look at him this year.
It's
Maybe he's a
awesome
little bit,
now. Yeah.
he's unbelievable. He's
Yeah.
untouchable at the moment. But the way he turned his life around, you know, he's more professional. He's training harder than ever because he wanted to prove. He didn't want to go to that path. He wanted to show his talent. And he is a talented player. And as you can see it, he's changed it. And that's what it is with young players. As a coach, it's all about man management. And that's what I find being a coach. It's the way you manage these youngsters. And it's mostly youngsters coming through. And it's the way you talk to them. Because all players got different personalities. And you've just got to try and adapt to their personality and try and get the best out of them. That's what it is. End of the day, that's what a manager is. You trying to get the best out of a footballer and then obviously get the best out of your team to succeed. And that's the challenges that lie ahead. Saying that, they don't give you much. They don't give you much leeway. You know, because results matter these days. So if you don't start off very, very well, you could find yourself easily out of the door.
Okay. I mean, what was the feeling like for yourself when you came to Singapore? The admiration, you know, the attention that you got, you know, the fans or the people, the girls screaming at you and all that. Was it a sort of a culture shock in the way from what you experienced playing football in Australia?
Yeah, I thought my hair had gone afro, and I thought I was Michael Jackson or something, because it was just. I mean, I was 21, going to 22. I was 21 years old, and I'd never experienced anything like this in my life. And you know, like I said, I was playing here in front of 10, 15,000 people. I had never played overseas. I mean, obviously, I played in a World Cup with Australia in the Youth World Cup, In Chile, that's probably the biggest crowds that I played, you know, playing in Santiago against Chile, the host team. And I think it was like 90,000 people. And that was my first experience of big crowds. And to come into Singapore and to start it off well, and you know, for to see all that fanfare was just unbelievable. And then to see the stadiums full in every Malaysian state, and that's what football's all about. And that's what I miss most about Malaysian football. You know, it's starting to get better now, you know, but still, you know, it's heartbreaking to see when I look at Selangor games and there's 5,000 people, you know, and we're talking about the biggest team in Malaysia. It's like, you know, the Liverpool or Manchester United of Malaysian football, who were getting 70, 80,000 people during my time, and now they're getting a couple of thousand people to a game, and that sort of kills the sport. And it is a big disappointment for me, because I had to comment on some of the games, and there weren't many people in the stadium, and I shake my head, and you know, people ask me, and I say, isn't that a waste? I feel sorry for these players, because there's some really good players on show, but not many people watching them. And that's what I miss, I think, about the atmosphere, which is different from my time in the 80s and 90s, and you know, until what it is at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And Abbas, you know, are you still running that restaurant in KL?
Yeah,
Biblos?
yes, Biblos is there. I've still got my shares in it there, and it's running up there with obviously my partners. Yeah, look, it's a great restaurant, beautiful food. If you like your Middle Eastern food, Lebanese food, you must go down there and
Brought
try
my
it.
wife brought my wife once, and went there for dinner, and
Okay.
I did have a slight mess up with the Lebanese coffee. You know, you guys pour that
Oh,
coffee,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
and
yes.
and the moment I poured, and then the thing just spilled out. I said, wow, okay, this is some equipment.
You need sugar. You need sugar.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very strong. It's very strong. But no, it's a beautiful restaurant. And it's
Mhm.
great food up there. So, but you know, look, it is what it is. I love KL. I've loved every minute that I spent in obviously working with Astro there for 7 years that I was there. And yeah, some great times. I got wonderful friends, and it's a second home to me. You know, I mean, I love Singapore and KL. I mean, two of my favorite cities of all time. But it's just the people. I just love the culture in Malaysia. I love the Malaysian culture. It's just first class.
Thanks, Abbas, for making time for us, especially during currently it's about 1 a.m. in Singapore, right? Sorry, in Australia right now.
I think it's
No,
more than that. I think it's 2.
yeah, no,
Oh,
it's 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But
Okay,
no,
okay.
no. My pleasure. I appreciate the invite. You guys are doing a great job, and I hope you enjoying what you're doing,
Yeah.
and keep on doing it. No, I appreciate that, and I had a great chat with you
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you so much, Abbas. Yeah.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure.
And of course, you know, for me, it's such a surreal feeling to be able to speak to my idol, the one that I grew up watching, you know, I look up to on TV, and who gave me
Thank,
2 fantastic Malaysia Cup finals that I'll never forget. I'll never
thank
forget.
you, thank you. No, I appreciate. Thank you for the support, and yeah, and I just hope the league continues to prosper in Malaysia, and really hope they can go a little bit more professional, and maybe, you know, I know they're talking about private ownership now,
Yep.
taking it away from the state teams and that. You know, it is what it is. We all know it's a business. Every team is a business, and you look at the success of JDT, and I think if everybody can follow their blueprint, then you know it's just going to make Malaysian football the talk of not only Southeast Asia but Asian football. And I hope they can do that. I'd love to see Selangor getting full houses, and Kedah full houses, and just, you know, the big states come back and rejoin the league, because it's all about the fans, and you're only going to get the biggest fans supporting their state. And let's just hope they can get one team in every state that can be successful like JDT is now.
Okay, that's a very interesting message to all the respective teams in the Malaysian Football League.
Mm.
And with that said, we will end this episode of the Bola Bola Show podcast. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye for now.